All right, so I'm here with Ashley of ARC Properties, and we're going to talk about these garage condos in Prior Lake and Lonsdale. You guys kind of have this unique opportunity for storage or all sorts of things to own or lease. But why don't you, Ashley, introduce us to these garage condos that ARC Properties has and what's going on, and just help us understand.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rob. It's so good to be here. So yes, like you said, we have the opportunity for garage condos and in Prior Lake and Lonsdale, and they vary in size. So pick your size and what suits your needs best. But they're really shells at this point, right? So they're meant to completely be customized by the user. You can put, plumbing in there and floor drains and mezzanines and build it out really however you want to. So for today, right now, they're shells, and we see people bringing in their RVs. There's a dump station all put together on the site already.
Instead of renting just public storage somewhere or trying to build a building on your own home, which can get really difficult, this is an opportunity where in these prime areas, this is a great spot in Prior Lake. It's really easy to get to the freeway back and forth. If you need a place for your boat, your RV, or even if you're trying to build out some other things, you can either lease these or own them. And there's a place for investors. So we were just talking about, these are kind of flying off the shelves, but people are buying these for some pretty interesting things as well.
Yeah.
If you have capital, even 1031 exchanges and whatnot. But real quick, why don't you, so there are these kind of empty shell buildings that you can buy or lease. What are the types of things you can do with them? You said you can store your RV in them. What are some other uses that you see people doing?
Rob, I'm so excited. So follow me on this. So here we have the opportunity for these garage condos, okay? And I want you to know kind of how they're set up and what they offer. So not only is it your garage condo, but there is a wash bay that's shared between all the units. And so if we have RVs or boats or larger vehicles, there's a wash bay right on the premise, and that's included with all of the, the monthly dues, if you will. There's a dump and fill up station that's included as well. So if you have your RV and you want to pull it in.
So also, make your life easy. So all this in and out, you want to actually utilize your amazing toys that you have. You don't want to mess around. You can spray it all off. You can clean it. You put
right
garbage.
there.
It's secure. It's just, everybody's like, ooh, that sounds convenient.
100%. And there's security, there's Wi-Fi throughout all the buildings, there's in-floor heat in every single unit with the option to do AC if you'd want to. So really the shell of these are just ready for the dream to be infused into them, and the sky's the limit with what you can put into them.
So what kind of, if you're willing to share, what kind of buckets of costs do people usually see when you start out? Either buying or leasing, or what does it mean in these Prior Lake and Lonsdale locations? Yeah,
so it just really depends on the need. So we have some of our most inexpensive units start in the $60,000 mark, and then they go up to, into the hundreds of thousands, right? Depending on what the need is. You can use one smaller unit, or you could potentially purchase two, and it could be a drive-through unit where some of the big RV and big rigs that people like to use, they like to just drive right through their unit. So these are really customizable, kind of compartmentalized, if you will, like Legos, right? What do you want one? Do you want four? It's really up to the user what that looks like.
So if you live in the suburbs and you like the idea, man, I wish I had a pole barn. I wish I had a place to store my stuff. This is a fantastic option for people. But then there's, as an asset, this is unique. Why don't you talk to us about some of the different ways you might see this as an asset? Because, again, the land is difficult to come by in Scott County, Dakota County, and whatnot. It's hard to get places to store things. It's hard to get approved from the cities and the counties to build your own building or pole shed or whatever it is that you're trying to do.
Yeah.
As an asset, you can buy this and lease it. You can lease it yourself. There's a buyback. Help us understand all those options.
Well, let me just draw the picture for you of people that, want the extra space. Who doesn't, right? But maybe they don't want to be in the acreage scene, or they don't want to go through the rigmarole of a variance to maybe put a shed in or things like that. Perhaps they just want it off-site for the man cave, and they just want to go there on a Saturday, right? All these reasons. But certainly it makes good sense to have an opportunity to store all those things. And it's a fantastic solution for those that want to do a 1031 exchange, perhaps, right?
You brought that up. So the idea is maybe you have a rental property that whatever it is, you've got a home or whatever that is, you need a 1031 exchange opportunity.
Indeed.
And maybe,
here's an idea. How about a 1031 exchange opportunity with zero risk and no wondering if the kitchen sink is leaking?
So help me understand. Okay, so those are two huge things.
Yeah.
no screwing around with the problems of being a landlord. So if you own one of these, why don't you unbox that? Like, what does that mean? When, like, typical landlord, you're going to buy a duplex or a single family home, you've got all kinds of complaints.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas this
well,
is
let's go ahead and just take the property manager right out of it, right? So you're owning this unit, and typically we have renters that are really just clawing at the opportunity to get into one of these units, by the way. So it's very likely, it's a very likely scenario that we'd have someone come in with a 1031 exchange, maybe buy 6 units, and the renters are already lined up for them, and it's an immediate cash flow for them, which is a great opportunity. But yeah, I mean, they're pretty darn self-sufficient. I mean, there's not much to these things in the way of what could go wrong. So really, all in all, is a really safe investment.
So it could be a great buy and hold. You get depreciation because it's an asset you own. It's not like you're at this public storage or something like that.
They literally have their own PIDs, right? So if you were to buy like a drive-through unit, for example, there's 2 separate PIDs, right? It is real estate, So it's
safe in the sense that the operation of the business of being the landlord there it's very minimal, and it's a person who wants to keep their stuff nice. RVs, boats, toys, cars, man caves, lots of collector cars.
Yes.
Now on the other side, there's kind of a hedge. So you guys kind of have a hedging system where it's a buyback. Help us understand.
You got it.
What that is.
Yeah. So the entity Park Place Storage, which is the contractor that puts these buildings up, they will buy back that unit for the price that you purchased it for. So say 3, 4, 5 years down the road, something changes and it's a move across the state, and we need to unload this thing maybe quicker than we want to put it on the market for. They'll buy it back at the price that you paid for it, which is great. So there's really no money lost in this transaction.
If you feel like, I don't know if I want to commit to buying something, what if I don't want my boat or whatever that is, and you want to change, you're saying that there's a nice little hedge where they'll buy it for the purchase price. And now that sounds like a scam, but what are the things? You said it kind of protects a bunch of things. How are they able to do that?
You got it. So we have this owner that has a great reputation in the community for not only building these buildings, but then also building the communities within these buildings. So they vet to make sure that everyone's respecting the property and things like that. They don't want to see somebody fire sale their unit to somebody that might not respect the rules and the HOAs and things like that, right? And so their buyback program really ensures that the people, like the neighbors for everybody, they're going to fit right in, and they take great pride in that.
It's not a tobacco grow place.
That's exactly right.
You're trying to be very careful and intentional about who's coming in there. So that's cool. Those are 2 lower your risk type of things. You could do anything from 1031, or maybe you have some cash sitting around as an investment, inheritances, or whatever that is. You're not sure where you want to put that.
Right.
And maybe you don't even love all the transaction costs and the cost of real estate. I mean, these are more accessible at that 60 to 160 or 200 or whatever that is.
Yes.
Depending on how you build them out.
100%. 100%.
Now talk to us about, so you guys have contractors that are really good at working in there, because these aren't the first ones that you guys have been a part of. Like,
correct.
They've been around for a long time. What have you seen it look like for folks when they buy them and they want to build them out and advance them? Like, what's all involved with that?
So they offer a la carte options as far as like getting bathrooms in them or getting mezzanines in them and things like that, epoxy floor, things like that. But if they want to do a full-on build out, and we've seen kitchens in these, we've seen different areas where there's like dirt bikes, and they really, the sky is the limit on what you guys want to, or what people want to do with these. We've seen sport court build outs. We've seen golf simulators go into these spaces. A bunch of hockey moms come together and they want to just have a place for their kids to hang out on a Saturday morning or what have you. So it's just these spaces. They are endless uses.
Are there limitations? Are there some things that are not a good fit for that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So again, just out of respect for everybody that's in that community, they tend to stay away from things that are very messy, right? So maybe somebody that I think of having a lot of like equipment, maybe landscapers, maybe caterers with the smells and things like that.
Is that where you park your asphalt, your seal coating trailer?
Maybe not so welcome,
okay.
Right? Another thing that has in the past in other projects, not our own, where they've said a lot of coming and going, right? So if someone's going to bring in a high traffic situation, we might start to see some grumblers from the neighbors. These tend to be a little bit more private, a little bit of, slow traffic in and out, boat, like that kind of a thing. This is not a strip mall.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Right?
So if you're on Prior Lake, or if you're in out in Scott County in Lonsdale, it's really a quick trip to get onto the freeway. You've got all the lakes around us still, and it's a great opportunity. So in Lonsdale versus Prior Lake, the building's kind of up right now, right?
Yeah.
Everything's getting finished, and and they're being sold. How many types of units do you have in Prior Lake? And then talk to us about the process in Lonsdale, where you're at with the building that's up and the more.
Yeah, so there's 26 units in Lonsdale and about double in Prior Lake, with future expansion in the works as well. And I would say too, the natural thought for someone that might want a product like this is just RV. We go to RV, we go to boat, we go to big things that need places, and lakes don't always allow, lake lots don't always allow for that, right? But I would say hand in hand, if we see people that have just business needs, right? Stagers, event planners, there's a flower shop, videographers like you, Rob, it would fit like a glove. Just that extra space that people are just busting at the seams. Furthermore, and this is maybe getting a little bit into the weeds on the development side of things, but we see communities like Lonsdale where we're very dense in the city, right? And then you step outside of city lines and we're 1 per 40 out there, and it's a hard, fast start to agricultural. Well, what that does is it either forces people to move out of the community or stay there, and they're busting out their seams with, their garage, or just bellowing out with things, right? So I think it really fills the need of like, hey, you got a buddy? You want to do it yourself? You got a couple buddies that want to just go and like maybe we throw the snowmobiles in one, and we're working on our snowmobiles there, right? And suddenly we're all in for $10,000 and we've got a place to, to park our stuff on a Saturday, So anyway, options are endless, but it's not just big things. It's really, if people are comfortable where they're at and they just need a little extra space, it's a great solution for that.
That's
too.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what do people do if they like the idea of taking a step? They connect with you, and what does that process look like?
Yeah, very great. So getting through them is a great thing. I'd love to show them around the property, because it's not just like, oh, it's a garage condo. There really is a community. We've got license plate checkers and security, and the wash bay that I would want to show them. The dump. Like, there's just so much that is offered there as well. So that would be the first step, is to just go and take a look at them. And then if all makes sense, the transaction is so easy. It's a couple things of paperwork and off we go.
So you don't have to make lease payments to rental places. You don't have to pay to store and have your money just go out to somebody else's mortgage or whatever that
Rob.
is. Here you can have an asset. There's all sorts of everything from depreciation, if you have income coming from it. 1031 exchanges. You had kind of an interesting idea of if you bought a handful of these.
Yes.
Talk to me about that idea. That you guys have seen some folks peeking around.
Yeah. I mean, more than once. I mean, people will come in and they'll say, well, I need 6 of them. And oftentimes we have renters that are ready to rent. We just make the match and away you go. So these are like instant money makers for people to put some cash down. So
that's cool. Cool. Well, how do they get in touch with you and sign us out here? You got it. No, thanks so much for the time. So you can feel free to contact me at ashley@propertiesbyarc.com. And it'll have all my contact information there. Propertiesbyarc.com. So you can see all sorts of stuff. You guys got a lot going on, lots of all sorts of land, property development, commercial, residential, and super excited. So appreciate it, Ashley. Thank you. Awesome. Thanks.